Okay. Yeah, so to begin, I think, one, we are recording this particular session. So then after this, you are able to access it on our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe, and also so that you can also get notified when we post new videos. And this is also for your teams who maybe are not here with us for one reason or another. So it will be available on YouTube probably after this particular session. As regards to questions and comments, feel free to interrupt the presenter if you feel left behind by just raising your hand. There is an icon for raising up your hand. That will be a way of interrupting the facilitator, so then we can address your issue. Otherwise, you can also type in your question in the chat area where our team will be able to look at them and respond to them in real time, as we've always done. Yeah, I think in terms of introduction, we already introduced yourself. So I just want to be sure that everyone has downloaded the resources. The installation for Windows was supposed to have been downloaded from last week. So today you're only downloading resources for Ubuntu environment. Again, this being a virtual technical training, we are reminding you, should you get stuck along the way, which I'm sure is normal, let us know, so then we'll be able to access your machine and help you troubleshoot. So that means you'll be able to share with us either the AnyDesk ID, or if you have the TeamViewer, we'll be using the TeamViewer as well. You can share that with us. And again, as we had agreed last week, we need this technical support to be individualized. So when someone connects to your machine, kindly be kind to provide your phone contact, so then they can also take you through in real time as they support you. But please don't share your number on the chat. So thank you very much. So I think before we begin, I don't know if Diana is in the call, and if you really want to make a quick remark before we begin. Okay, I think she'll join us slightly late. So maybe to just introduce the topic of the day, which is IL, I have a brief presentation to make, then I think we'll just go into the technical aspect of it. So let me just share my screen. Could someone confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, Biran.
Thank you. Now, so the topic of the day is interoperability layer. So I'm sure this is one piece of system that most of us have heard of, or most of us have kind of worked with. So today I think we just want to kind of dive a little bit deeper, so then we understand how do we install this, how do we use it, and what does it do. So we are going to kind of describe the interoperability and the installation process, and also how to access the installers, which I think we've already shared both in GitHub and through the link I've already given you. And we are going to also discuss about the value addition that the interoperability layer brings in to your facility, and also at the national level, at the national data, at the DHIS level. We are also going to install and upgrade interoperability and also confirm the service, whether it is running or not. What exactly is the IL? Yeah, so IL is a broker of information between two or more systems. So you'll find that each system is able to define the kind of messages that it wants, then it routes that through IL, and that particular information or the variable must meet some certain standards that are enforced by IL. And in this case, we are using the HL7 standards. For those of you who are aware of the HL7, then at this point, so given that IL implements standard-based approach, and I've already shared with you that the messages or the systems that are receiving or sending messages must meet certain standards. So IL is implementing standard-based approach in terms of broking the information across various systems. So the current version of IL that you're going to look at can exchange data or information between about 6 different systems. And this includes the NPIs, the LIS, the Laboratory Information System, the T4A, what last week we were terming as the ML product, then the ADT. I'm sure most of your facilities are implementing ADT. Also, it supports EMR and the EID system. So with all these systems, you'll find that IL is right at the center, where it is able, any system within that particular network is able to exchange information across. So that what that tells us is that for the IL to effectively work at our facility, there has to be some network, okay? So that means the facility has to implement a network where those systems that are supposed to be connected or that are supposed to exchange information are linking to each other. So for instance, if you are in a facility where we have Kenya EMR and you also have the ADT system, then there has to be a physical link between ADT server as well as Kenya EMR. So then the information can be exchanged in that manner. Okay. So based on the various use cases, there's going to be certain requirements for you to implement IL. So for instance, if you want to exchange data between EMR and ADT, one, you'll have to get the compatible version of ADT system. And then you must access the API configurations and also the correct ADT endpoints settings. And then you also must install the IL system. So there is a whole job about how to install IL, how to configure and stuff. I think you can access that through our resources page on Data Warehouse, but also you can access the same in YouTube channel. There is a whole video about IL installation. So if you want to exchange data between EMR and MLab for the purposes of getting the VL, if that is your use case, then you'll need to have a compatible MLab software, which you have to install an instance of that software in your facility. And you have to also have the correct installation and configuration software packages. And in some cases, the mHealth guys will advise you to get a registered modem, which then is will be given or assigned to your facility. So then through that, you can get your messages, the viral load messages through GSM, and also so that the messages that come through GSM can be interpreted and then persisted in EMR, and which are then sent directly to patient's profile. So for the facilities that are implementing this particular use case, you'll find that they're able to get the results much faster. Immediately the result is posted in the reference labs. They are able to get that report almost immediately. And kind of that gives them kind of a quick turnaround in terms of profiling the patients who need urgent care in terms of low viral load and stuff like that. So that also is very important. You can implement it between T4A, which is Ushauri, and also EMR. So there are particular requirements you need for that. And today we might also see, if time allows, we might also see how we can also use IL to send data to DHIS2 through automated indicator reporting, which I think will also get time to show. Yeah, so for today's scenario, we are going to take you through how to configure the endpoints of all the participating systems. So what do you do if you want to configure DHIS? What do you do if you want to configure it for IQCare, Kenya EMR, and all these systems? What kind of endpoints do you need for it to work for those particular systems? So we are going to see that in a short while. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm not going to go through air. We'll just touch on it towards the tail end of this. So at this point, I don't know if there is a question or a comment. I can check on the charts. Okay. So at this point, I think I'll usher in the next facilitator who is going to take us through the installation, the technical installation process. So I'll give Leon a chance to take us through this. Leon leads our service desk, and he has got massive experience in terms of technical configuration of IL. So Leon, I don't know if you are in and you are ready to take us through.
Thank you, Ben. I'm here. I think we are ready to go.
Okay, take it away then.
Awesome. So, thank you, Bernard, and welcome all. Thank you for joining us today. So, I'm just going to take you through the installation of the interoperability layer. We are going to start with the Windows version, then we will be moving on to the Linux version. So, hopefully, I would like it if we all went together, do it together up to the end. So by the end of this session, at least you should be able to be having your interoperability layer running. So first of all, for Windows, I hope all of us have already downloaded the resources that were shared last week. The .exe file for installation, and we will also need to have you would also need to have MySQL running on your machine. I hope tuko pamoja. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen so that you can see. So all those who can see my screen say
Yes, 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 yes.
mnaona eh?
Yeah, tunaona.
Okay. So basically when you download the .exe file, it should be something looking like this. Eh? So the first thing that I'm just going to do, I'm going to start with MySQL. I hope all of us have MySQL running on their machines. Aya, tufungue MySQL. command line. Tuko pamoja? Hello? Somebody confirm for me kindly.
Tuko pamoja.
Yes, leader.
Okay. So I'm just going to log into my SQL. So the first step that you need to do, you need to create a database with the name Interoperability. So the application needs a database where the data is going to be loaded. The IL messages are going to be loaded. The database is just going to take care of the transaction. So once I've logged into my SQL, I'm going to create a database like this. Database Interoperability like that. Once it's created, you will see it will tell you that the query is okay, and one row affected means that the database. So I hope nobody has gotten an error here. Once that is done, you can just exit my SQL and go back to the .exe file that you had earlier downloaded. So once I have this, I'm just going to double click on it. And we should all be getting something like that. So I know some people might be getting a different screen. It might be us telling you to install Node.js. So I don't know if there's anyone who's getting a different screen. Or ama sisi wote tuko hapo. Then I'll assume all of us are together. Now, it's a very simple process to install. Just agree to the license terms and conditions. If you want to read them, you can click on this link and you get the terms and conditions. Then I click on install. It's quite simple. Takes a few minutes. Just setting up everything. I hope hakuna mtu tumeacha nyuma. Ya nani memaliza? So mine is done. Should we continue ama we give you guys a few minutes? Nani bado yake inaendelea? Hello, tuko pamoja? Can someone confirm they're done? Ama sisi wote tunafanya na hii moja yangu. Hello? Tuendelee. Oh, mnanisikia eh? Okay. Okay. Once that is done, just click on finish. And you will notice the interoperability layer icon on your screen. I hope all of us can see this. You'll see on your desktop, you'll see the interoperability layer icon. So to access the interoperability layer icon, to access the interoperability layer, just double click on the shortcut that is on the desktop. And it will take you to the IL web page. It's just opening in a few. So you should be having something like that. So we've successfully installed the interoperability layer on the Windows platform. Now we need to make a connection between the application and the database. We created the database and we've installed the application, but we need to do some configurations to show the application where the database is. So to do that, you go to your drive C. Let me just show you in a few. So to do that, you go to local disk C, then program files. When you get to program files, you look for a folder written Palladium group. Once you're inside the Palladium group folder, you will see another folder written interoperability layer. Open the interoperability layer. Then inside there, you will see a folder written SRC. Open the SRC. And you will see another folder written config. So just open the config folder. So tumesema tunaenda kwa local disk C, program files, Palladium group, interoperability layer, SRC, then config. So inside the config folder, you will see a document. It's just a JSON file, written config. So you can just open and edit it. I'm going to use Notepad++ to edit it. So this is how the document looks like. So we are going to use to edit this part. This document is quite sensitive, so we are just going to edit the bottom part that is written development. So this is for MySQL. We are just going to show it where the location of the database and input the username and password of the database so that the application can see the database. So the username is root. We are using root. We are logging into MySQL as root. Then you just put in your password. For my case, the password is test. Then you put in the database name. If we all can remember, we created a database known as Interoperability. So that is the recommended one. The database is Interoperability. The host is localhost. That depends if the IL server is on the local machine. If it is on a different machine, you input the IP of the different machine. Or if the MySQL server, is on a different machine, you input the IP address of the different machine. So for my case, MySQL is installed in this machine, and that will make the host to be localhost. If I was accessing MySQL remotely at the host, I will put the IP address of the server where the MySQL server is hosted. So for the port, I'm using the default MySQL port, that is 33. That's the only thing that will change. The username, root, password, the database, the host, if need be. This refers to the host of MySQL, where MySQL server is hosted. Then the port. Once I'm done with that, I will save. I did not launch it as an administrator. Let's say yes. This should be okay. I will just save that. Once I've saved that, I will go to my services and restart the interoperability layer service. So just open your services. We have the interoperability layer service. Just restart it so that all the changes can take place. Yeah. Once we're done with that, go back to the browser, refresh the page. The default username, the first login, the default username is admin, and the password is also admin. Once I'm done with that, I just sign in. And I will get the home page of the interoperability layer. So I believe all of us are together. I hope hakuna mtu amebaki nyuma. Before we move on to the Linux environment. maybe if there is any question, I can take them before that's it. Kuna swali?
Hi, Leon.
Yes, yes.
Maybe you may want to find out how many people manage to follow and install up to where you are.
Yeah. True. How many people have managed to install up to where we are? Ama turudie.
I've installed.
Oh, you've installed. Ah, nice. At least we have one person. Who else?
You're good.
You're good, eh? Oh, okay. You're able to install? Chishenga, you're able to install?
No, I've not been able to install, but I'm following.
Only have 2 people.
There is someone called Wanga with a very special request.
Wanga, yeah, turudie. Wanga, ulipotelea wapi? Hello?
Leon, I think for the sake of time,
Okay.
let Janet and Wanga share their AnyDesk IDs. We can support them on the sides.
Okay, sawa. So we can move on to the, in case you're stuck, kindly just reach out to raise your issue on the chat area. We have a team that is there and ready to help. So we're going to move on to the Linux environment. So let us switch gears. Sisi wote tuende Ubuntu. We see how we can install it on our Ubuntu machines. Now, I hope all of us have downloaded the resources that were shared on the chat. So just going to start my screen sharing. Can you see this clearly?
Yes, Lavasta. We can see this clearly.
Okay.
Leon, you have to give them more time to switch over to Ubuntu.
Okay. We can give ourselves like 2 minutes. 2 minutes is zimetosha, for us to switch to Ubuntu. Just switch to Ubuntu.
Can I use the 2 minutes for my roll call?
Okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to confirm if we have After Jijin in the room.
Yes, we are here.
Okay. Gima for sure. Elstrat. Walter Reed South Rift. CHS Naishi. UMB Park Tendeleza. And lastly, Bomu. Okay. Thanks. So I think, Leon, you may want to proceed.
Okay, thank you. I think we can continue. Hopefully, sisi wote tumeenda Linux. Can you confirm? Or should we wait for someone? Am I audible? Ama tumeshachoka? Or should we have, Otieno, these things are usually called energizers. Do we have an online energizer?
Yeah, we can define one in our next session.
Or you think we can nominate someone to give us an energizer? Eh? So can you just confirm to call Linux? I don't want to start and leave anyone behind. Okay, let me assume tuko pamoja. So, before we start this, there's something I forgot to mention when we were beginning the training. So, for the, as Bernard had earlier said in his presentation, sorry for that. As Bernard had earlier said in his presentation, the interoperability layer is just a system that is used to exchange messages. It acts as an intermediary between two systems for the exchange of messages. So these two systems must conform to some sort of guidelines some sort of guidelines that will allow them to exchange messages with the interoperability layer. So for Kenya EMR, the first thing that you need to make sure you have is you need to have the Kenya EMR IL module running on your Kenya EMR. So even before you install the interoperability layer, you need to make sure that you have the correct Kenya EMR IL module running on your Kenya EMR. Just to make sure that you have this, to confirm this, when you open your Kenya EMR on the home page, let me just log in. You need to make sure that you have this icon, the IL admin icon. So if you don't have this, then Kenya EMR will not be able to exchange messages with the interoperability layer. So that is the first thing. Before you install IL, make sure you have the IL module in the Kenya EMR. Hope tumeelewa, hope tuko pamoja. Now, once you've done that, you download the resources, the Kenya EMR, the interoperability layer, the Linux version, and paste it in and move it into your into your Linux machine or Linux server in a place of your convenience. So for me, I'm working with a desktop. You can put it on the home folder, you can put it on the desktop. So install this when I just double click and open this, we have this file over here, install.sh. So this is the file that we are going to run. So we just run this and it will install the IL for us. So to do this, we are going to run this on the terminal. I believe all of us are familiar with the terminal. I can just search here for terminal. Once I've done that, I'm going to change directory into the IL folder. So before I do that, I'm seeing in the chat somebody is asking where we can get the open file. All our resources are on GitHub. I think we will be just sharing the links on where you can access them on our GitHub page, where you can access the IL file. So I'm going to change directory. So I hope we are doing this together. I'm going to change directory into the desktop, into the IL folder on the desktop. So I'll just type cd desktop, then IL. So I hope we can see. Now, once I'm inside the IL, the first thing that I need to confirm is that the SH script that I intend to run, is it executable? So just to make sure that it is executable, we are just going to run a command that is going to make it executable so that it can be executed, runs, and installs the interoperability layer. So we're going to do sudo mod a plus x. Sorry. Yeah. So say that this is the file that we are using to install the IL. So this command is going to give it executionable rights. That input my password. So it doesn't throw an error that is executable. So just to confirm, I can LL, and when I look at it, green in color, and it has read, write, and execute. So once I've done that, I'm just going to run it, and this is how you do it. Just type sudo all.sh, then press enter, and this is the screen you'll get. It has started installing the interoperability layer. So it will ask you for your database username and password, basically just to create the interoperability, the interop DB that we created manually on Windows. On Linux, it will just create by itself. So database username, I'm using the root. My password still remains to be test. Sorry for that. I think there is a problem. I think my SQL service has stopped. Yeah, should be good to go. So my username is so basically that was it. My SQL service had stopped. So once that is done, it will start installing until it's done. Once we are finished with that, it will take us to it will bring us back to where we started from, just to make sure that IL has been installed correctly. You can navigate to your browser and navigate to localhost /5000. And be able to access the interoperability layer. Sorry. Yeah. Just like that. So for the Linux version, you just run the set script, make sure that it's executable, run it, it will create the database, do everything, and you should be able to access the there. So I don't know if all of us are together. How many have been able to reach there?
We've reached, but I think I've missed the credentials for logging in.
Okay, the credentials is just like the other one. Username admin, password admin. Any other question?
Leon, maybe from my end, I was able to follow through, and I am where you are. But on when I look at Kenya EMR, I'm not able to see the icon for interoperability, and I'm working with the 17.1.0, the one that we used for migration. So,
okay,
sure updating.
Okay. So we will be sharing the IL. So the IL module is for facilities that you want to install the IL. You need to make sure that you have the IL module, the IL mod in the modules folder. So we will just share a link where you can get the IL mod, because it is not usually shared together with the usual package. So it is specifically for facilities whereby you want to install the IL. So we don't share it with the normal upgrade packages, because in case you have the module running and you don't have the IL, the interoperability layer, might cause some errors on Tomcat that might slow down your machine. So we will be sharing a link, GitHub, whereby you can just obtain the specific module and add it to the modules that you have. So, any other question before I hand it over to Bernard Otieno to continue? So if there is none, then thank you. Otieno, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leon, for taking us through that. I want to really believe strongly that we have followed, even though based on the feedback, I'm not sure if everyone has been able to do it on their own, but I guess you've seen the steps, and this video is still available. You'll be able to follow if you don't follow right now. But it is the steps are very simple and straightforward, so I don't think you'll be getting a lot of issues. So having seen how we install the IL on both Windows, on both platforms, both Windows and Ubuntu. So I want to take us through, it's called what sightseeing. I want to just show you the interface and what the interface means. So I'll just share my screen one more time. Yeah, and please confirm that you are able to see my screen and whether it is big enough for your eyes. Okay, yeah, so this is the home screen. This is the home screen for interoperability layer. So what does it mean? On the home page, on the dashboard, you can see we have the facility name. In my case, it is written Kenyatta. We can change that. You can see brief statistics on what kind of messages have been exchanged. So far, I can see 10 messages exchanged, and all of them have been exchanged with the GHIS2. That is the MH731 report. So in terms of the status of these messages, the green status means all of them have been sent, but then this pie can be divided based on which ones have not been sent and which ones have been sent and which ones are from which particular system. So you'll have different systems with different color codes. Then the system that is currently configured, as you can see, is GHIS2. So as I said when I began, this is based on your use case. If your use case is only GHIS2, you will only configure for that. If it is GHIS2, AUDT, and VL, you'll be able to see all that listed under the systems that are online. Okay. Then if you look on the left, we have like some menu. So the second item on the menu is the participating systems. Looking at this, you'll see the currently compatible systems that are optimized for IL. So the first one is IQ Care. The second one is Kenya EMR. Another one is ADT. The next is T4A. The other one is MPI. And the last one is DHIS. Okay. And as I said today, we want to configure it for DHIS. So then we can see how this, we can simulate how to send data to the DHIS instance using the IL directly from EMR. Okay, so the next one is the message types. So for every system, there has to be certain message types that corresponds to the standard that is being enforced by IL. And in this case I talked about the HL7. So these message types are given a specific code. So for instance, you could see lab order. Lab order is grouped under ORM 001, and the name is lab order, and then the description and the status, whether that message is active or not. And below it, you could see the systems that are subscribing to that particular message. If we look at the viral load results, then you can see 3 systems are subscribed to that message, and they're all addressed to the ORU VL. That is the name of the message, and then the verbose name, which you can see, and then the description and the priority. So it's priority 3. So we can also look at the MY731. You can see the name of the message type, which is the MY731 MOH, MOH731 ADX, sorry. The verbose name is that MOH731 ADX, the description, and then the priority. So the priority here kind of defines how fast the IL will consider particular message when it receives it. So for instance, where it receives message, let's say message, I want to see the one with the one, where there is a pharmacy order, and you can see it is priority number 1. So that means if that message comes, obviously it will be queued on top of any other message so that it can be exchanged faster. So it's a way of kind of ordering and prioritizing the processing of the messages as they come and as they are being processed and shared out to various systems. So each message has got the priority. I think that's the most important thing. Then we have the message subscription. So if you look at this list and this list here, they are somehow the same, but in this case now, for each message type, which particular systems have subscribed to those messages. So you can see patient registration, we have like 5 systems that are able to receive and send patient registration information. And what happens here is that you could choose to remove a particular system from subscribing from that particular message. So you simply click X. That way, you'll be able to remove that system from subscription. And below, we have the systems. So if you want to maybe add one of the systems to subscribe to a certain message, you simply drag and drop. Okay? So you simply drag the system that is below there and drop it to the message that you wanted to subscribe to. But then that means it presumes that you shall have also configured the endpoints properly so that then that particular system can be found. The IL is able to reach that system. So the next one is the notification. So notification is simply a visualization of what is happening to the messages as they come and go. So this is a way. That IL is logging whatever it is doing, the activities that it is doing. So if you send a message to IL, it will list it here as received. Then if it sends it to the destination system, the receiving system, it also will tell you that the message is sent successfully. So it's just a small visualization for the user to see the activities that are taking place behind the scenes. So it's just kind of like a log. Then the last one is the settings. This is where you set the facility name. You also set the DHIS username and password. Then the rest are pre-configured for you, so you don't need to change anything. What you need to change is the facility name, DHIS username, and the DHIS password. The rest are standard. So I hope we are clear up to that point. Okay. So our simulation today, the use case we are going to simulate, as I said, is reporting DHIS2 instance using the IL. So that's what I want us to do. So I wish you had installed your instance, so then we would have just done this together. So the first thing we're going to do is to edit the facility name. So I'm going to simulate using this facility. This facility is LVCT Health Manyata Dice. So I'm going to simulate using this. And again, the data that I'm going to submit to DHIS2 is not going to go directly to the live MOH DHIS instance. We have a separate test instance for DHIS, which we are using for this particular session. So the data will not go to the live database. It will be sent to a test instance. Okay, so that means I want to change the name of my IL to LVCT Health Manyata Dice. So I'll just update settings. On top here, there is update link. So I'll just edit this. And the first value here is facility name. Instead of Kenyatta National Hospital, I'll write LVCT Health Manyata Dice. Then I'll go to DHIS username. So this is the username of somebody who is authorized, who is authenticated to send data to DHIS. So this could be the username, it could be the credential for an HRIO or any individual staff member of a partner who is authorized to submit data to the DHIS. So you have the username. In this case, I'll just use KNH Hospital. Then the password, I'll just use that. So I don't need to change any of those. Okay. So once I do those the three settings, the next setting I need to do is to set the endpoint for DHIS2. And that one, you get it under participating systems. So if you go to the participating systems, you choose the system on whose endpoints you want to configure. And I don't know if this file will be visible from this screen. I don't know if it will be visible from this screen. Try just a minute. Okay, it's kind of not going through. So let me just share this little screen before we come back. Yeah, so if whatever you're seeing on your screen, those are the endpoint settings for the four systems. So you have Kenya EMR endpoints, you have IQCare endpoints, ADT endpoints, and the T4A. So these have to be configured properly if you want the system to exchange data with those particular systems. So this is available on the IL installation and configuration SOP on the resource page. If you go in there, you'll be able to get the same thing that you're seeing. They are all listed there. So let me just share back my screen. Okay, so all those settings are supposed to happen under the systems we have. So for instance, if I want to set the DHIS, I'll just click on the DHIS, then I update the address here. Then I get this endpoint from the SOP. This is for the test. This is for the test instance, and you can see it is written test HIS, and you paste it here. Then you save. The moment you save, and if it is correct, then IL will be able to pick the report from 731 and send it to this address. On the other side, The HIS instance will be able to receive this using the API and process this particular information, the ADX file, and update the reports, and we'll be able to see how that works. So this is, if you have this particular file, this is where yes, endpoint. Okay, so that is all we need to do on the IL side for it to send data to GHIS. So the next question is, what do we need to do on the side of Kenya EMR, so then Kenya EMR can be able to send data to IL, then IL forwards it to GHIS. So we'll come to Kenya EMR. I don't know if you're able to see Kenya EMR. Okay, so this is Kenya EMR instance, and in this one, I think we are simulating using the LVCT Health Standardized. So what kind of settings we need on Kenya EMR for it to send data? So the first thing you need to do is to come to, the first thing is logging in first. Logging in, then you click on home, then you click on developer, then you go to the legacy admin UI. So on the admin UI, you come to advanced settings, right under maintenance. Under maintenance, you select advanced settings. So I'll click on that. So these are advanced settings for EMR, for OpenMRS, or in this case for Kenya EMR. One thing with this window you're seeing is that if you put in any settings that you're not sure with, then you are going to compromise your instance of Kenya EMR and it might not run. So you have to be very cautious on this screen. Just make the setting. I wish someone would mute Janet. Okay. So I'm going to make the settings right here. So the settings I'm making is called IL server settings. So I'll just search for IL server, and I can see the setting is here. That is the setting. So I just need to put in the correct address. So this address here should be the address of the IL. Okay. This is supposed to be the address to the IL. And if I open my IL instance, you can see that exactly is the address. So the only thing I'm adding here, 9721, is the API port. Okay. So the 9721 is the API port where this particular message will be sent on the IL. So this is all you need to do. You need to include the IL address and IL server. Then the next thing you need to do is to tell Kenya EMR which facility is this. So you'll also look for MFL code. Okay, so this is where you set the code to which this particular report belongs. So this is the MFL code for Manatadais. You need to have it put there. And that's all you need to do. Once you do that, then you come down here and then save the settings. So I'll just save. So on the side of EMR, on the side of Kenya EMR, that's all you need to do. You need to set the IL server URL. Then you need to set the MFL code for that facility. Then you are done. Okay. So then the next thing is sending the report to GHIS at the facility. So the people, the HRIO at LVCT Health Manatadais can now choose to go to home and run a report. In this case, I think we can run a report for June. So we go to 731. So we request the report. Let me request for June. Then we request. Okay, so that goes our report for June. So before we submit this data to the DHIS, we need to go to the DHIS and check what happens in that particular month. Manyata dies. Manyata. I'm looking for that facility so then I can tell whether there is any data already existing for June. So then we can know whether our data was sent or not. Internet. So I'm just waiting for the DHIS instance to load. I'm wondering if it is usually this slow. So in the meantime, as it loads, let's look at the report that we want to send to DHIS. So we can just view our report for June and see whether we have anything more than a 0, or we have some numbers. So current on ART is 11. And we have current on ART total are 21.
Seems like it has loaded, Bernard.
Oh, good. Yeah, so at this point, we go to the data entry and we look for Manyata dice. I think it is this one. Okay, then we check to see whether there is any care and treatment data for the period of June. So we can look at current on ART, there is nothing, starting ART, nothing, current on ART, all nothing. So we don't have any data for June, and I think we have confirmed that, right? So when we come back to EMR, this is the data that we need to send. So we'll come back. So we need to send this data in a format called ADX. And by just clicking the ADX, we are ready to send this particular report to IL. So it is important to note that EMR is sending data to IL, not to DHIS. It is the work of IL to send that data to DHIS. So do we have the data? We can find out. We can show the message. Here is the message that will go to the IL, and the IL will be able to interpret this message and send this particular file to DHIS. So the next step is just submitting. So I'll just submit the message. Message is successfully sent, and we can come back to IL under notification. That must be very fast because it has been received at 3:45 here. And already it has been sent to DHIS here. So you see the notification from IL. The IL says message has been sent to DHIS2 successfully. And the attempts that were made is 1. And the payload is the message that we had sent. Okay. So right now, I think all we need to do is to go to DHIS2 and find out whether there's anything that has been sent there for the month of June. Okay, so I'll come back here. I'll just refresh this page. Data entry. Then we go for Manyata dice. Then we look for care and treatment data set for the period of June. So let's check if we have anything here. it is still, we believe that it is still processing. So we just give it a few more minutes, we'll be able to see it. But from our end, IL has confirmed that it has sent the data. So we are waiting for that data to be seen in the GHIS instance. So as we wait, I don't know if there is any question or comment. And one thing with this particular data set, the 731, you can also report on additional indicators like the methadone, like the VMMC, separately without necessarily having them as part of the EMR. And that is what we call the expanded area, where you can also key in other reports from VMMC and other programs that are not supported on EMR and send it as part of MOH 731. So then you have a complete 731 report in the GHIS. So that is very possible. So I don't know if there is any question up to that point. That is how we configure the air, and that's how we submit the data to the GIS instance. So I think I'll open the floor for any question or comment. It's a very quiet room today. Enoch, I don't know if you just want to unmute and ask that question. I don't know if it is complete.
Okay, Ben, thanks for the training on the IL. I was just asking, will the Windows IL also be able to send the data to AHIS, or will just be based on the Windows Ubuntu, on the Ubuntu?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So the response is that IL is IL regardless of the platform, whether you've installed it on Windows or EMR. Sorry, whether you've installed it on Windows or Ubuntu, it doesn't matter. It will still be able to pick your data and send it to GIS. It will still be able to integrate with the mHealth and stream for you the viral load data. It will do everything that it is able to do, regardless of the platform. Yeah. Okay. Any other? As we check whether our data is here finally. Not visible still, remember. So someone called Benton Kihika. Could you just unmute and make the comment or ask? I guess the session is. I'm wondering if you could unmute your mic and just ask the question verbally.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, this is Benjamin. I'm listening from LVCT days.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, continue.
We haven't really migrated to Kenya EMR, but we are using IQCare. We have data to the national warehouse. Well, but this is something that will happen in the near future. So my worry is, do we need some of the computers to be running on Linux, or Windows will just work for all this?
Okay. I don't know if you joined earlier. You realized that Leon was able to take us through how to install IL on Windows, and later he did how to install Windows on Ubuntu. So we are kind of giving you two options. So then you might choose based on your hardware resources at the facility. But being that we are moving from IQCare to Kenya EMR, most of our trainings are biased towards Kenya EMR because that is the new knowledge that we want you to have as you plan to transition over to the new platform. Benjamin? I don't know if you are answered. Okay. Someone from Tulaimbo is asking about, after submitting the report to DHIS, do you still need to click on the complete button or it's automatic? So this is automatic. The data is being saved in the background. You don't need to save, you don't need to click any button on the DHIS. All you need to do when you go to DHIS is to check whether your data is there. You don't need to submit any data. So it will be as if it is doing automatic data entry for you on the DHIS. So all you might want to do is just to validate your data as you usually do when after keying in your reports on the DHIS.
Hello, Bernard.
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, this is Paul Naviri from the city. So this is my question. Probably, I think when you answered Benjamin, you're talking about that there was a session about installing the IL on Windows, right?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever you're using now, is it the one that is installed? Is it Windows that is running this? Or it is Linux?
I have two instances. I have one instance running on Ubuntu, but the one I'm showing you is running on Windows. The one on your screen, the one on your screen is running on Windows.
It's running on Windows.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know because just wanted to know about the practicability. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Another question, please, Bernard.
Okay.
Approximately, what's the minimum capacity, like RAM, do we need for, say, the two platforms to run?
Okay, so I think this depends on your platform. If you are choosing to install IL on a separate Windows machine, then any machine can do any machine with minimum specs can do, whether it is 4 GB or 8 GB RAM, that can do. But if you are choosing to run IL on the Kenya EMR server, then we'll go with the specs of the Kenya EMR server. So the minimum specs for Kenya EMR server is 8 GB for memory minimum, kabisa, and maybe 500 GB hard disk, and with maybe a clock speed of about 3 to 3.6. That should do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I can see Brian has also shared the GitHub implementations for IL. You can feel free to download it from there on your chat screen. So I don't know if I'm locking anyone out. It is 3:57. I think we are very much on time. So if there are no further comment or questions, maybe we may just want to wrap it up, assuming that everyone has been able to follow. And today, no one has provided us with the team viewer or any desk address. I'm wondering if everyone was able to do it on their own with no help. But I think being that we are kind of testing out delivery of technical training on virtual platform, I think we'll be norming as we go along and see how this can be adjusted because I think it has become the new normal. So bear with us. But the beauty of it is that now you have a chance to do it on your own. You can go to the YouTube, get the video, and then follow at your own pace. You'll still get the same result. And when you are so stuck that you can't move, we have the service desk, which is open 8 hours a day on a weekday. You can reach out to our service desk. They'll guide you through what you need to do in any of these sessions that we've had. Okay, so I think for now, I think that's it for the IL session. Next week, probably on Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to go through the technical walkthrough on the migration process. For the facilities or for the partners that are ready to migrate from IQK to Kenya EMR, we will take you through the virtual training on how to conduct the migration. It will be a technical training showing you the processes of setting up the environment, data extraction and transformation, data loading into Kinyamara. We'll show you all that. So we are going to send out that communication within this week. So then we meet up again on Wednesday and Thursday, same time between 2 and 4 for the 2 days. So I just want you to mark that on your calendar. So then we meet up on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know if Dana is in the room. If you want to kind of make a comment before we close. Dana?
Thanks, Otieno. I don't really have any comments. Thank you for doing this call. And I hope the sessions are helpful. It would be good to get feedback also from the team on if there's anything that we need to improve or rather make the experience better. Please let us know. We are willing to improve and make the experience better. But thanks for the facilitators, Otieno and Leon, and also for the participants.
Okay, thank you very much, Diana. So I think then we'll leave it at that. I want to thank all of you for finding time to attend. Even though we started a bit late, next week let's improve on time, so then we start at exactly 2. I also want to thank my co-facilitators, Leon, and let's meet next week. Thanks, and have a great evening and a great weekend ahead, a great long weekend ahead. Bye.
See you around.